Are you a Filipino planning to travel or work abroad in 2025? While many countries welcome Filipino travelers with open arms, others have strict restrictions or outright bans in place. Whether it's due to political instability, safety concerns, or immigration policies, some destinations are harder for Filipinos to visit than others. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 countries where Filipinos face restrictions or bans in 2025. From war-torn nations to places with strict visa rules, we'll break down why these countries are difficult to access and what Filipinos need to know before planning their trips. Stick around to find out which places are off-limits and why. 10. Kuwait. Kuwait has been a key destination for overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, particularly in domestic work and construction. However, in recent years, the Philippine government has imposed partial or total deployment bans due to reports of abuse, mistreatment, and labor violations against Filipino workers. Several cases of maltreatment, unpaid wages, and even deaths of Filipino domestic workers have led to strained diplomatic relations between the two countries. While Filipino tourists can enter Kuwait with a visa, employment is strictly regulated, and undocumented workers face deportation. The kafala system also limits workers' rights, as they are tied to their employers. In 2023, Kuwait banned new Filipino domestic workers, worsening the situation for those seeking employment there. Filipinos planning to visit or work in Kuwait should follow legal channels, secure proper work permits, and stay informed on government advisories to avoid legal and safety risks. 9. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has strict immigration policies for foreign workers, including Filipinos. While Filipinos can apply for tourist or work visas, the process can be complex, requiring employer sponsorship for employment-based entry. Saudi authorities impose severe penalties for visa violations, including detention and deportation. Filipinos who have previously traveled to the US, UK, or Schengen countries may be eligible for visa on arrival privileges. However, many Filipinos still face restrictions, especially domestic workers, who require strict employer sponsorship. The Philippine government has also imposed temporary bans on deploying domestic workers to Saudi Arabia due to reports of abuse and labor violations. Travelers should ensure they have the necessary documentation before entering the country. 8. Taiwan. Taiwan has extended its visa-free entry program for Filipinos until July 31, 2025, allowing them to visit for up to 14 days. While this policy benefits Filipino tourists and business travelers, those seeking employment must go through legal channels, including obtaining work permits. There have been past issues regarding undocumented Filipino workers in Taiwan, leading to deportations and employer crackdowns. Taiwan's immigration policies are strict, and overstaying or working illegally can result in fines, detention, and blacklisting. Despite diplomatic tensions between Taiwan and China, travel remains safe, and Filipinos are generally welcomed. However, travelers should stay informed about visa policy changes and ensure they follow immigration rules. 7. Malaysia. Malaysia allows Filipino passport holders to enter without a visa for up to 30 days. However, employment restrictions are in place, requiring Filipinos to obtain proper work permits before working in the country. Immigration authorities conduct strict screenings, and those caught working without legal documentation face fines, detention, and deportation. Overstaying or violating visa conditions can result in blacklisting, making it difficult for Filipinos to return to Malaysia. Additionally, Sabah, a Malaysian state, has had long-standing immigration concerns involving undocumented Filipino migrants. Malaysian authorities have conducted crackdowns, leading to deportations and legal disputes. Filipinos traveling for tourism or business should ensure they comply with all entry requirements. 6. South Korea, specific areas. South Korea generally welcomes Filipino travelers, offering a visa-free entry program for Jeju Island and a relatively straightforward visa process for other regions. However, the South Korean government has placed travel restrictions on certain parts of the Philippines due to security risks. Areas such as the Zamboanga Peninsula, Sulu, Basilan, and Toy-Toy are considered high risk due to insurgency and terrorism threats. These restrictions affect South Korean nationals traveling to the Philippines but do not prevent Filipinos from visiting South Korea. However, Filipinos should still be aware of visa requirements and the potential for policy changes based on diplomatic relations. 5. Libya. Libya remains unstable due to ongoing conflicts between rival governments and armed militias. Since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, the country has struggled with political turmoil, leading to a partial deployment ban for OFWs. Filipinos working in Libya, especially in the healthcare sector, have been repatriated due to security threats. While Libya is not completely closed to Filipinos, the risk of violence, kidnapping, and civil unrest makes it a highly dangerous destination. Travel restrictions vary depending on the region, with some areas being outright inaccessible. The Philippine government continues to monitor the situation and advises against travel to Libya. 4. Yemen. Yemen is another country under a total deployment ban due to the ongoing civil war between the internationally recognized government and Houthi rebels. Since 2015, the conflict has led to thousands of civilian deaths and a severe humanitarian crisis. The country is facing widespread famine, disease outbreaks, and economic collapse. Traveling to Yemen is extremely dangerous due to airstrikes, terrorist attacks, and kidnappings. The situation is further complicated by the presence of extremist groups such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The Philippine government has repeatedly urged its citizens to avoid travel to Yemen, and Filipinos already in the country are advised to leave as soon as possible. Consular services are extremely limited due to embassy closures, making it difficult for stranded Filipinos to receive assistance. 3. Syria. Syria has been in a state of war since 2011, leading to a total deployment ban for OFWs due to extreme security risks. The civil war has left many areas in ruins, with ongoing conflicts between government forces, rebel groups, and extremist organizations. The country remains dangerous due to frequent airstrikes, terrorist activities, and political unrest. Basic services, including healthcare and infrastructure, are severely damaged, making it difficult for foreign workers to live or work safely. Although Syria technically allows entry to Filipino travelers with a visa, the Philippine government advises against travel due to the high risk of violence and kidnapping. Several Filipinos have been repatriated from Syria in recent years due to unsafe conditions. The lack of a stable government and legal protection makes Syria one of the most dangerous places for Filipino citizens. 2. Afghanistan. Afghanistan has been under a total deployment ban for OFWs due to persistent security risks, including armed conflicts, terrorism, and political instability. The Taliban regained control of the country in 2021, and since then, the situation has remained volatile. Many foreign embassies, including the Philippine Embassy, have been closed or relocated due to safety concerns. The country is still experiencing economic hardship, human rights issues, and attacks by extremist groups. The lack of diplomatic presence means that Filipinos in Afghanistan have limited access to consular assistance. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs, DFA, has advised all citizens to leave Afghanistan and avoid traveling there. Even for those seeking asylum or humanitarian missions, obtaining a visa is challenging, and the risks of kidnapping and violence remain high. 1. North Korea. North Korea remains one of the most isolated countries in the world, with strict entry restrictions for all foreign travelers, including Filipinos. The Philippine government enforces a total deployment ban for overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, due to North Korea's failure to comply with the amended Migrant Workers Act, making it nearly impossible for Filipinos to work there legally. Additionally, North Korea's unpredictable political climate, strict surveillance, and lack of diplomatic relations with many nations make it a high-risk destination. Travel is only permitted under highly controlled tours, which are heavily monitored by North Korean authorities. Independent travel is prohibited, and visitors are not allowed to engage freely with locals. Due to ongoing geopolitical tensions and the risk of arbitrary detentions, the Philippine government strongly advises against travel to North Korea.